Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to One Akata Nation News Hour with your man, Solon's one and only number one edutainer, Petty Murphy, here, reporting to you live from the back of the classroom at Foundational Black America's number one news source for edutainment, Akata News Network. So today we'll be checking in with our man about town, our number one agent in the field, our own, the only guy that can get the information to you very fast in a cool, easy 12 parsecs, our one and only Nap Solo. And with that, I say, breaking news. Yep. All right, what's cracking? So you already know what it is, and as I always say, it ain't nothing new under the sun. So what we actually gonna do today is always we're gonna drop down. We're gonna look at a little video, about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna pose a few questions. And one of those is we know that history is his story. So my question is what actually happened to the original rulers of our planet? Because everywhere you go on this planet, it seems that historically they make excuses for why all the old original nobility all had one thing in common, and that was melanin. But before I get too deep into it, let's just drop down. We'll look at it, and after that, we're going to spin the block, and we're going to rap about it.
Many people don't realize that there have been African populations in Asia dating back thousands of years. And not just from the original out-of-Africa migration about 50,000 years ago, which led to the development of diverse skin tones in far-flung regions away from the mother continent. No, we're talking about more recent African migrations into Asia within the last 1,000 to 6,000 years. Africans who built empires and kingdoms, whose descendants are still visible today. Usually now, they're found at the margins of societies their ancestors once ruled, like Colossi. Here are indigenous people of Thailand. Here, the Philippines. These are the original Asians, Africoid peoples, whose ancestors have been there for many thousands of years. They were once kings and queens, scholars, merchants, and in our deep dive into global civilizations, one consistent pattern appears. The further back you go, the more Africoid the people appear. And nowhere is this more intriguing than in the twin nations of North and South Korea, which, for this video, we'll simply refer to as Korea in their united, natural state. The Old Kingdom of Korea was a mighty civilization, rich in culture, known for its serene beauty as Chosun, the land of the morning calm. Now get this, photographs from the Joseon dynasty, 1392 to 1910, show dark-skinned Koreans living peaceful lives. These photos, they date from 1895 to 1935, just about 100 years ago. So, the question is, where did these people go? Seriously, where are they? We're not pretending to know everything. We ask you, the audience, if you know what happened to these people, please tell us. Because this wasn't 1,000 years ago, not even 500, it's barely a century ago. There are likely people alive today, well over 100 years old, who were alive when Koreans still looked like this. Yet when you go to Korea today, here's what you see, a much lighter-skinned population. So, was there ethnic cleansing? Forced migration? Worse? We're not the first to ask. In 1895, British writer Arnold Henry Savage Landor wrote, "Further observation will find all over the kingdom, men as black as Africans, or like the people of Asia Minor, Anatolia, Turkey." So, thank you, Arnold, for indirectly confirming that Asia Minor, Turkey, also used to be black. But back to Korea. We also have documentation from Korean sources. According to historian Jae Kyun Kim, the oldest historical record on black in Korea comes from the Goryeo dynasty, established 918 AD. So it's in the records, and we have the photographs to match. During the Joseon dynasty, dark-skinned Koreans held elite positions in society. They were known as the Yangban, the scholar class. These men were public officials, Confucian intellectuals, lawmakers, artists, poets. According to art historian Soyoung Lee, Yangban were expected to cultivate morality through study and hold public office. Many were accomplished artists, mastering calligraphy and ink painting. They weren't just cultural icons. They were also pioneers in science and technology, inventing the clepsydra, water clock, sundials, the rain gauge, the first of its kind in the world. They also compiled Korea's unique legal codes and were key to its administration. That's not all. Africa's influence stretched across Asia. Chinese historian Chang Xinlang wrote, "A Negro empire existed in the south of China at the dawn of that country's history." Over time, these African-Asian civilizations came under pressure. As Mongolian populations expanded from the north, waves of invasions began. It became an ongoing struggle for black-led kingdoms to defend their lands. According to Dr. Runoko Rashidi, the fate of the black kingdoms and the black people of Far East Asia must be tied to increased pressure from non-Africoid peoples pushing down from Northern Asia. And the presence of Africans in ancient Asia was not isolated. In 1928, French scholar H. Imbert wrote in Les Negritos de Chine, "In the first epochs of Chinese history, the Negrito type peopled all the south, even the island of Hainan. As early as 2116 BCE, Chinese records describe meeting these black and oily-skinned people, mentioned in ancient texts like the Zhou Li. They founded government, calligraphy, philosophy, the very bedrock of Chinese civilization. And what of the Khmer Empire in Cambodia? According to Wikipedia, the Khmer Empire ruled or vassalized most of mainland Southeast Asia, and at its height was larger than the Byzantine Empire. The Angkor Wat complex is a grand testament to the African majesty of Khmer kings. But now, let's return to Korea. In these photographs, we see African masks, the mortar and pestle, a staple of African kitchens, and ritual worship of deities with clearly African features. This isn't about myth. It's not a feel-good tale. These are photographs. They, alongside historical records, show that black people lived in Korea well into the 20th century. So, again we ask, where are these people now? Was there a mass disappearance, some alien abduction, a targeted rapture? Or was it something else, something more human, more tragic? To this day, the fate of the black Koreans remains a mystery to us here at the African History Fountain. We've searched, and all we've found is silence, as if these people never existed. So what happened to them? Where did they vanish to? These are not myths, paintings, or carvings. These are real photographs. Cold, hard, undeniable evidence. Human beings, people, our people. And yet, today, there is no memorial, no museum, no monument, no mention. It's as if a giant hand reached down from the sky, erased them, and whispered to history, "Forget." But we do not forget. We are the memory keepers. We are the re-rememberers. And we will keep asking, where did they go? These faces carved in silver light, these children of two worlds, stamped in time, then swept from sight. No plaques, no pages, no public cries, just whispers lost beneath Korean skies. They smiled in frames and vanished in fog. Not myths, not shadows, but blood and breath and bone, erased, like chalk on rain-slick stone. But listen closely, can't you hear? The silence cracks, the truth draws near. For history may lie, but memory burns, and what was buried always returns. So we speak for the lost, the unnamed kin. We summon their stories back from the wind. We remember, because forgetting is a sin. Thanks for watching this episode. Do remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and look out for the next one on Africa's great civilizations.
All right. So that is what it is, right? You've seen it, and now we're spinning the block. We're gonna rap about it. So before I start this off, the first thing I want to say is that over the last few years, I've been through a lot of different trials and tribulations, and there's one thing I do is I know I recognize patterns, and there's one thing I don't do is I don't look a gift horse in the mouth. But there's one thing that I've come to truly believe is that there's no such thing as a coincidence. So when I have a conversation with someone and I say something to them, and it's just them and myself, and then at another time, me having a conversation with someone else, and they literally verbatim repeat what I said to someone else, I call that a synchronicity. And to me, that's the universe, the ancestors, the Most High's way of letting me know. Just hit the ground running. So with that, we're gonna now talk about when we was kings, or when we was Kangz, fear the return of a black planet. Now, you can actually go back and look down the timeline. I got about maybe a 40-minute video where I went to the Met. And when I went to the Met, there was one thing that I found very striking was that no matter what exhibit I went to, and no matter what time period it was, there were a lot of oil paintings and art on canvas, as well as figurines and statues of a lot of people from every different culture all over the planet that was all doing one thing in common, and that was black presenting. And by that I mean thick lips, broad nose, high cheekbones, that Divine Nine woolly hair. You know, for those of us with the 9 series DNA versus the 6, but it's another conversation for another day. So it made me start wondering and questioning, is history actually an accurate telling of what's happened on this plane of inertia or plane of existence, this planet? Or is it literally him telling us his story so that he can use it to rule and dominate man? And when you actually look, not at what they told us and they taught us in school, but you start looking at the actual record, when you start reading and perusing through, if you will, the actual diaries and things of that nature that were left by the individuals that went on these conquests or were actually present, there's a lot of things that you start to see in common. And a lot of those things are the words Negro, swarthy, burnt like an Ethiopian, Nubian. Everywhere you go, on every corner of the planet, whether it's Asia, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, everywhere. And then you notice, right? Like when you're in the Met and you see certain oil paintings of what look like black nobility and it says, sir, this and that. But then when you read the excuse or reason for why he's depicted as black, it's because, oh, well, black in this time meant wisdom and yada, yada, yada. But if we all know how this neuromelanin is looked at globally by every culture, because every culture has some type of anti-black sentiment, especially when it comes to foundational black Americans for some reason. But again, another story for another day, because I think I might know why, because they know who we are, even though a lot of us don't remember. But anyways, what group of people would depict themselves for the future generations to see as something as they did not present as, if they knew that that would forever be their legacy and etched in permanent stone for the minds of the multitude of masses ongoing, especially when that depiction belongs to a group of people that a lot of people like to perceive as slaves. Aww. So I want to keep this short, so it's just a little something to think about. And just maybe, when you look at a lot of these 13th, 14th, and 15th century maps and you see Tartaria or the Great Tartary, and you look back and realize that the electric car is over 200 years old as well as the electric scooter, and you'd be like, are we living in a simulation where it's kind of like Call of Duty, where every season they use the same engine but just swap the skins and the technology has always been here? They just use it to keep us in subjection, working to dominate, sorry, not dominate, but populate and generate those taxes and that revenue that they like. And when we ask too many questions, for some reason, global war starts and not back to the Stone Age. So something tells me we might have been created into the highest level of civilization and then fell into the Stone Age and are trying to crawl back out because there's no way we can be the pinnacle of all civilization when we find structures all over this planet, buried, made out of blocks of cubes and some of polygonal structure that are in the 30 and 40 metric tons, with 2 to 3 million of those interlocking cubes making up one structure that is airtight with no mortar. Yeah, just a little thought. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. And it is your man's, the one and only, Nap Solo. And this is the premiere of When We Was Kangz. Fear the return of a black planet. And remember, realize, and transparency forces accountability. So y'all keep your eyes to the stars and keep that head on a swivel. And remember, they're playing a dirty game out here. So it's up to you to recognize how divine your cosmic sovereignty is and how much power it is that you actually hold. And stop wasting it on the things that are inconsequential or a non-factor. You can have whatever you want. If you can think it, you can speak it. And if you can speak it, you can speak it into existence and reality. It's not hard. You just have to believe in what it is that you actually know. And on that note, I'm officially out of here. Y'all remember, y'all stay safe out there because it's a dangerous game. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Plantation Studio with your one and only man about town, Petty Murphy, again reporting to you live from the back of the classroom here at Akata News Network. And that was our number one agent in the plantation field, our one and only brother who can get it to you fast as hell in a cool 12 parsecs, Nap Solo, with his new premiere of the series Fear of a Return of a Black Planet When We Was Kangz. Oh, the irony in the name of that one. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's our time for today. We will check in with you later on. And remember, it is your man, Petty Murphy, here at Akata News Network, bidding you adieu. Stay black, my people, and stay proud.
You better talk to me nice. You better talk to me nice. Yeah. Nah, I ain't tryna look rich with no watch or no ice. I make my own moves, I need a boss.